Welcome to Business Connection. Joining me now from Trunnell Insurance Services, LLC, is Anthony Trunnell. Anthony, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. So let's start really big and broad. What is the difference between an agent and a broker, and what is your agency?
Well, typically the main difference between an agent and a broker is an agent represents one company and then a broker represents a bunch of companies. So our agency is a broker. We have somewhere around 20-some direct contracts, and then we have secondary markets, but that's a different subject.
But why is that? Why is it important to have more options than just, say, X insurance company?
Well, I mean, in the last 20 to 25 years, insurance companies, their rates have become so varied. There's so much going on that you would be shocked if you got quotes from 15 companies, how different the rates are. You see all the commercials on TV, and they're like, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best. That's what they all say. And then you actually get rates from them, and one company's twice as expensive as another company. And you can't really find that out unless you run it with everybody and you find out what, where you fit best, basically.
So if I'm coming in and need some insurance, you can run it through your different avenues and find out, okay, I got 3 quotes from these 3 different insurance brokers, and I can pick the best one, and you can help me with that.
Correct. And then in other situations, there's times where like maybe there's something about, you have something unique that not every company wants. Maybe you have too many losses. Maybe you've got like a wood shake roof, which a lot of companies don't like because they're so expensive. Like some companies will take it, some won't.
Right.
So there's certain situations. Maybe you've got a certain dog breed that some companies don't like and others will take. So that's another reason why it's nice to have multiple options.
Absolutely. Many people often worry, like when they have a little fender bender, or something happens that they don't necessarily want to put a claim in there because they're worried that all claims are going to affect their insurance pricing.
Yes.
Tell me, is that a true or a false? Tell me, how does this claim, when I claim something, how does that affect my pricing?
Well, from the moment you turn it in, you're affected.
Okay.
And it's affected by everything. Like I'm at the point now where it's almost like you don't want to call your insurance company. We see a lot of companies now, they're actually counting tow claims against people. Whereas before, if you go back 15, 20 years, all you got counted against you was an at-fault accident. If it wasn't your fault, it wouldn't get counted. Even if you called the insurance company and you said, hey, I was involved in a claim, what should I do about it? Or I'm taking care of it myself. If you call now, that could impact your rate. So everything impacts it. I mean, companies, and they look back 5 years. Some companies will look back 7 years now instead of 3. I mean, it used to be 3 years and now it's 5 years.
So what's your advice to how to handle that?
My advice, well, you don't want to have claims, obviously, but like with us, if you call us, we'll discuss it with you and we'll decide, what's the best way to go from there. Because depending on the situation, depending on who's involved, what happened, who the other insurance company is, what type of insurance company it is, then, we try to come up with the best strategy to like what's going to get you where you need to be and have the least amount of impact on you.
So a call to Anthony doesn't count against me, but if Anthony has to call somebody else.
Yes.
See, well, that's good to know, because a lot of the more agencies, single insurance provider, you don't necessarily talk to your rep.
No.
It's a 1-800 type of situation.
And there's certain words that if you say it, they'll code it in and it will trigger it. We see that all the time.
So that is probably a plus to have someone like Trunnell Insurance Services help you out, because it's a real person instead of that 1-800 number.
Yeah, and it doesn't go on the record. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because
it's tough. We don't know. You learn the most about your insurance coverage when something happens.
Yeah, when you use it.
When you use it.
And I just thought of something. The one that I get all the time that I just had a customer call me about this past week is they think that you have to, because if you look on your insurance card, it's like call your insurance company right away.
Right.
That is not true. Most companies give you up to a year to turn it in.
Wow.
The key is you need to have documentation. So like you need to have pictures of when it happened, or you just need something documenting that the damage happened on this day. But yeah, so you don't need to call right away. What you need to do is figure it out, and then you can call it in. Sometimes you want to get an estimate first.
Right.
You find out what it is.
Right, and how much it's going to cost, because you're going to have to weigh
Yes.
weigh what it is. So that brings me to the question. So, people watching this, they're like, oh, wow, Anthony, smart guy. We want to chat with him about possibly, going with him. How do people do that? If they have one insurance company, they want to talk to another insurance company, they may want to, transfer their insurance. How does that happen? And how complicated is it?
Well, actually, it's easier now than it's ever been,
Okay.
just because of technology. I mean, we have this new technology now that you can call us, and I can actually text you a link, and then you can look in your phone, and if you have your passwords in your phone, like it'll Face ID you, and you can share it with us, and it takes 30 seconds. And it sends everything over to us. So you don't have to pull it out. Like, you don't have to look in your filing cabinet. You can pull it, which is really easy to do. And then typically what we do is we go over it. It'll give us 80 to 90% of what we need, and then we'll follow up with maybe 5 questions, and then we can run everything.
That's great. And what advice do you give people when because there's just a ton of insurance options, as you said. Every ad from you got the Geico, you got the crazy ostrich, you got everything. You got the Statue of Liberty, you got everything. How do you know? What's your 5 or 3 tips about what makes a good insurance company or broker or group to go with?
Well, I mean, if anybody that's standard, a lot of the big ones that you see on TV, well, I guess here in Chicago, there are some companies that you see on TV that are not standard, but we won't talk about that. But I would say any of the big ones that are on there, they're standard markets. To be a standard insurance company, they have to follow standard practices. So basically, they have to prorate you if you cancel and things like that. But there's so many, actually Illinois is the most competitive state for auto and home in the country. There's more companies doing business I think it's something like 152 or 155 companies do business here. So that's actually one of the reasons we actually have some of the cheapest, people complain, but we actually have some of the cheapest auto rates in the country because there's so much competition. There's always somebody trying to enter the market and write stuff. So
with that, as the consumer, is it just best to choose 3 and get 3 quotes, or how do you sift through all that?
Well, I'm going to tell you that you should call me because I can give you 15 quotes. But
because you're the broker.
The ability, correct. But what I would do is, you don't want to hop around all the time. I mean, companies now, they monitor how long you've been with your other company. Okay. So what I would do is, once you find out where you want to be, the best, it's called a transfer discount, is after 3 years. Once you've been with a company for 3 years, you kind of max out. Some companies go to 5, but it's 3. But if you're going to get a worse rate, if every 6 months or a year you're looking, now that doesn't mean you can't find something better, but on average, you're going to get the best rate if you look every 3 years. So what I tell people is like, okay, so if you switch something, right, see if the renewal changes, right? And if the renewal doesn't change, then I would stay there for a couple, and then maybe look every 3 to 4 years, something like that. So that's my advice. If you want the best deal, and like me personally, I work in the industry. I mean, I don't want to switch my own stuff every year.
Right.
It kind of it's nice to just stay put with somebody, and but you don't really build up goodwill like you do in the old days. I mean, so it's you got to look out for yourself. You got to look out for yourself.
Right. But you mentioned the good old days. I think the one thing that really sets you apart is that it's a call and I get to talk to you as opposed to that 1-800.
Yeah.
And the choice of more than just one company. So, Anthony, thank you for coming by and chatting with me about insurance. It's been fascinating. I could talk to you forever on the subject. I appreciate it. We also appreciate your sponsorship here at NCTV 17 for Naperville Sports Weekly.
So, I love being a part of that. It's great.
Well, you're a great community player, and I think that's part of your success too.
Thank you.
If you're interested in learning more about Trunnell Insurance Services, LLC, please visit their website.